Okay, guys, this is Jewish Prepper. This is really important stuff, so I'm getting it out right away. Within the past few hours, Senator Feinstein has released her summary of her bill that she's proposing in Senate to legislate what she calls assault weapons. And that includes and it bans the sale, transfer, importation, or manufacturing of 120 specifically named firearms. Also, certain other semi-automatic rifles, handguns, shotguns that can accept a detachable magazine and have one military characteristic. I'm assuming when it says military characteristic, it's referring to either the fact that it has and we'll discuss it in a bit, bayonet mount or a ability for a suppressor to be attached to it. Also, all semi-automatic rifles and handguns with a fixed magazine that can accept more than 10 rounds. It also strengthens the 1994 assault weapons ban that was under President Clinton and various states' bans by moving from a two-characteristic test to a one-characteristic test, eliminates the easy-to-remove bayonet mounts and flash suppressors from the characteristics test, and it's banning firearms with thumbhole stocks and bullet buttons to address attempts to work around prior bans. Bans all large capacity ammunition feeding devices capable of accepting more than 10 rounds. It protects legitimate hunters and the rights of existing gun owners, according to what she's saying, by grandfathering weapons legally possessed on the date of enactment, exempting over 900 specifically named weapons used for hunting or sporting purposes, and exempting antique, manually operated, and permanently disabled weapons. It requires that, and this is the kicker, requires that grandfathered weapons be registered under the National Firearms Act to include background check of owner and any transferee, type and serial number of the firearm, positive identification including photograph and fingerprint, certification from local law enforcement of identity and that possession would not violate state or local law, and dedicated funding for the ATF to implement registration. This is horrible. I don't know if people realize how terrible this is. And clearly, this is not going to do any more than what the 1994 to 2004 ban did, which is basically nothing. It didn't affect violent crime in this country at all. The statistics show that. Additionally, we have, I don't know how many times I could say it. It's just logic. Criminals do not listen to law. The guy that shot up the firemen late in recent days, that guy murdered his grandmother with a hammer. Are you going to outlaw hammers? Of course not. If somebody wants to kill, they're going to do it with any kind of weapon, with any kind of tool. And it doesn't matter what. These people are mentally challenged. It doesn't matter what kind of legislation. Not to mention, this guy was a felon. He was in prison for homicide, for killing his grandmother. He was a convicted felon. He could not own firearms according to the law. Guess what? He had a number of different firearms that he wasn't allowed to carry. So, you know what? With all due respect, all this is affecting is us law-abiding citizens that really need these type of weapons for self-defense, and that's all it's doing. So, and let me just reiterate some of the points here that are really going to be affecting us in the future. Besides the old ban that affected the amount of rounds and the type of different weapons, this, although it does grandfather in, which makes it all a joke anyways, because there's hundreds of millions of weapons out there, so grandfathering it in just means that somebody's going to have to find these weapons in a different way if they want to break the law. But the fact that they're registering the weapons, requiring a background check to document this type, serial number, positive identification of a photograph and a fingerprint, law enforcement, local and state to prove it. These are all things which are clearly in violation of our Second Amendment. And it's scary, especially considering what happened just this past week with this publication that published all the legal concealed carry permits in the New York area. This is just a terrible violation of our rights, and I hope that everybody realizes it and protests now before it's too late.